Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Mah Trucker Vlog. And today is, I'm doing a quick little series called What Pay at Crete is Actually Like, Part 1. And there'll be a Part 2, Part 3, and so forth. I was going to wait until like maybe a couple months into me working for Creet Carrier before I started telling you guys what the pay is actually like. But I recently just passed my first month with them, and I just passed my new hire valuation, and yeah, so and I passed with flying colors, and yeah, it looks like but I just have some epic info to share with you here. Okay, look, when I'm telling you what Crete pay is actually like, I don't count my first two paychecks because the first paycheck just represents orientation pay. Second paycheck represents them mostly giving me small loads to get to an area so I could get better loads. And it wasn't until my third week that they actually started piling miles onto me. No, I take that back. They started piling miles on me on the second week. And then, so basically it was my third paycheck that I started having real miles and a really good paycheck. So I'm going to tell you about my third paycheck and my fourth paycheck that I've gotten with them so far. The third paycheck, before taxes and health insurance deductions, it was $1,705.42, and I did a total 2,707 miles. And after taxes and deductions and everything, my paycheck was $1,419.41. And to those of you who pay close attention to taxes and stuff, you're probably thinking, hey, my paycheck's a little high. I should have gotten deducted more, because my filing status is I'm single, a resident in West Virginia, and don't have any kids, no dependents, no child support, no alimony. And but the reason that you get more, I'm getting these big paychecks, is because I have per diem activated. And there's pros and cons to it, but basically what it means is less money for Uncle Sam to waste on endless wars. So anyway, yeah, so I already $1,419.41 is already probably one of the biggest paychecks I've ever had in my life. And last time I saw a $1,400 paycheck was my first paycheck with Bar None Transportation in November last year. But that was mostly orientation pay and sign-on bonus. I never saw a paycheck that big ever again in the following 7 months I worked for them. So my first real paycheck with them is $1,400 after taxes and health insurance deductions, which is just health insurance for me, no one else. All right, today I got my fourth paycheck. This is literally the biggest paycheck I've ever had in my life. After taxes and health insurance deductions, today I got paid $1,842.80. I'll say that again. $1,842.80 after taxes and deductions. So before taxes and stuff, it was $2,211.62. And keep in mind, these two paychecks both involved a 34-hour reset in that pay cycle, because they drain my clock so fast I don't have a chance to live off of recaps, which is great. That means that I'm more well rested consistently. I basically get like a day off once a week, and I'm being paid more than I've ever been paid in my entire freaking life. This income, this is precisely why I got into the trucking industry, to get this kind of income. I spent about a year and a half breaking into the trucking trade, and I went through the learning process that how much money that the recruiter is going to tell you you're going to make doesn't match what you actually make. But with Creet Carrier, every single thing that the recruiter told me turned out to be true. And I thought that to be so unusual. And I found out why. It's because recruiters at Creet Carrier get fired if they ever get caught lying to someone. That's a thing. They hold recruiters to a whole different standard here at Creet Carrier. And As a matter of fact, I'm making more money than what my Crete recruiter told me I was going to make. I got the impression from him that I was going to be making like $1,300 to $1,500 paychecks on average. But so far, when it comes to these two real paychecks I have, it's $1,419.41 after taxes and stuff 1 week, and then today $1,842.80. Now, the $1,400 paycheck, I drove 2,707 miles. On the this $1,800 paycheck, I drove 3,438 miles. That is the most miles I've ever driven in a week in my entire short career as a trucker. So I remember my fleet mentor telling me that he drove 3,800 miles one time, and I was like, I didn't know you could do that at a 70-hour clock, but apparently you can, because I just did 3,438 miles. And so yeah, they gonna give you some miles. So and what's interesting is I was being paid 67 cents a mile at bar none transportation, getting shit miles, but I'm being paid 63 cents a mile here. Now they'll tell you 64 cents a mile for solo over the road company 21-day dry van fleet, which is what I'm in. But I'm actually getting paid 63 cents a mile because there's a 1 cent per mile administration fee because of the per diem I have. I have per diem activated so that less money's going to Uncle Sam. And I know some people say, oh yeah, but that you don't have as much in for your retirement savings, blah, blah, blah. Look, man, I don't plan on retiring in America. The older I get, the more expensive everything gets. I remember when you can get a Snickers bar for 35 cents. Now it's like $4. I remember that Wendy's had a 99-cent menu. Now it's like a 5.99 menu. It's only going to get worse. So my retirement plan is immigrating to Argentina, assimilating to the culture, marrying a woman from a traditional family, and as soon as I move there, I'm going to buy a house that is going to be big enough to accommodate up to 3 generations. So my retirement plan is living with whichever future kid of mine inherits the house, and I'm there with the grandkids, because that's how it works in Argentina. In a lot of countries, a little more traditional. That's my retirement plan. Family is my retirement plan. Now, yeah, so that's what's going on. But yeah, now you could agree or disagree with my plans. That's up to you, but this is my life. I'll live it how I want. But anyway, so yeah, as always, when you get information from a trucker, always consider the context. I am a solo over-the-road company driver who likes to live out of his truck and rarely ever go home. And I only go home twice, maybe 3 times a year. And even then, I don't really have a home. I pay my sister $50 a month to let me use her address as a quote-unquote legal place of residence, because you can't get a job without that, especially a trucking job. So any money that I'm wasting on rent or mortgage is just stacking up in the bank. So yeah, but yeah, this is the context. So if you end up applying for Crete, please use me as a reference. I'm going to do it in my Skeletor voice. And remember, if you apply for Crete, use me as a reference. Instructions on how to do that is in the description below. Until we meet again.